Let's talk about active voice versus passive voice and why you should use active voice in your college essays. The active voice looks like this. The dog ate the cow. Here's the same information given in the passive voice. The cow was eaten by the dog. Here's what's important. With passive voice, you can actually give less information. Here's an example. The cow was eaten. We don't know by who. Now, in English class, you've probably heard that you should never ever use a passive voice. That's not exactly true. There actually is a circumstance when you should use the passive voice. You use the passive voice to hide information. You do that to be polite. Here's an example of a rude sentence. Chelsea spilled the orange juice. Here's a polite way to say the same thing. The orange juice was spilled. Notice this is done to avoid embarrassing anybody, avoid casting blame, avoid pointing fingers. We just say, here's the problem, let's solve it. So there actually is a use for the passive voice. It does have that thing. Here's how sometimes people use it in politics. Politicians who are covering the tracks might say something like, mistakes were made. They're not going to tell you by who. Here's an example of powerful honesty, which is, I made a mistake, the fault was mine and mine alone. This was actually something that was written, it's been said by many people, but probably the first time I saw it was written by Warren Buffett. This is when I was working at Geico, which is owned by his company Berkshire Hathaway, and it was very, very powerful when he claimed sole responsibility for a mistake that the company had made. Now, let's look at what makes passive voice effective. It's used to hide information. So when people hear it, they know you're hiding information. If you do that in your college essay, you're going to start to lose that person's trust. If they think you're hiding something, they're going to start to question everything you're writing. Especially if you guys are either embellishing or just making stuff up entirely, using the passive voice is a really, really dangerous thing to do. So unless there's some massively compelling reason to use it, simply do not use the passive voice in your essay at all. Stick with the active voice.